Hello to everyone. Unifrance is very pleased to host this panel today on a great European success story about Flee, a film by Jonas Poher Rasmussen. And we are so happy to have today with us the producers, the broadcaster from Arte, and Marcel from the Annecy Festival, so that we can talk exhaustively about where this film came from and to where it went. You have to know, I think it's exceptional. It never happened before. Let's say documentary got nominated in 3 categories at the Oscars: animation, documentary, and best international film. This is really also a groundbreaking, it's really groundbreaking because it's something totally that never happened before. The film has been in Cannes. It started out of Cannes, then it went to Sundance, it went to Annecy, and then it went to Telluride, Toronto, New York, and all other festivals in Europe. It's more than 40 territories sold by Cinephile. It's a success story in a way, and it's also a very impressive film. Those who didn't see it yet, you should really check out where the film is released nearby you. Go to watch it in a cinema. It's a visual and emotional journey to something that you have maybe already heard of, but never seen it like this. So I really urge you, look it up, watch where you can watch it, and run for theater to see it as soon as possible. I will introduce very briefly our panelists today, and then we really directly start with our questions. We hope that you get a lot of information, and especially, as I said, that you, after this panel, if you didn't see the film, you will go to watch it right away. So I will start in the way I will also start my questions. Then I present you to Monica Hellström, Final Cut for Real in Denmark. She's member of the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, but she's overall a producer with many already nominated films, but not only at the Oscars, but she had many films in various festivals since many years. It's a very important production company in Denmark with partners all over the world, as you will see. That's how Flee came into life too, through all these partners, especially European partners. We have the chance to have with us Jean-François, who we know for many years as a very rigorous short film production producer with a company not based in Paris. It's so you also can do things in France not being based in Paris. A lot of your films have been nominated to the Oscars already. You will tell us how you came into the story of Flee. Of course, I'm personally not very much surprised that you got involved with this very appealing story when you read about it, but you will tell us more about this. Fabrice Puchot and Anne Charbonnel from Arte. I don't think I have to really introduce Arte as a very important, well, French-German, but almost European channel today. You can discover many films, not only if you are in French and Germany, but also in Europe, films, documentaries, through their very interesting website. Don't check it out. Also, if you listen to us from anywhere in Europe, you can easily have access to a lot of content that Arte is producing and proposing. Arte has been a partner of the film. We will see also at what stage you came in, Fabrice and Anne. And Arte is a partner for a lot of, let's say, in this documentary side, for a lot of documentaries. You will tell us more about it. It's a very important partner for the life of documentaries. And I think we are all in Europe very happy to have you. And if you are on board, somehow also a life of a documentary can change, but that I leave that up to you. And Marcel probably a lot of people know you for the Annecy Film Festival. You are also a producer. You direct films. You are the artistic director of Annecy. You came I think somehow across the film, you will tell us also when you come from the animation side. That's where I think it's really great to have documentary specialists in production, animation specialists in festivals and production also with Jean-François. But I think to have all of you together in one panel is also, it proves this exceptional story of Flea, because it reunites actually not only several countries, but also several art forms. And I think this is what it's probably has seduced so many festivals, so many, the public all over the world, hopefully, and also the Oscars. So, Monica, I talked enough to you. You are the one in the home country of the director of the film, Jonas Poher Rasmussen. And well, I think I read a little bit the director and the main character of the film did happen to be friends before, and that's how the story came into life. But what is your connection with the director? And also, I think you were quite involved from the very beginning in the content, but also this animation process. Can you tell us more? How did that came into life with the whole global reflection of the film?
Yeah, it's very exciting to be working with both animation and documentary. But I actually knew Jonas back from my previous job, where I used to work at the Danish Film Institute at a talent workshop where he had his first documentary film, and I worked as a production manager. So I've known Jonas for 18 years, I think. And then back in 2013, he came to Fine Cut Reveal with the idea of making this animated documentary film about his friend that he's known since he was 16. And he never knew the real story of his friend. He just knew he was a refugee from Afghanistan. He didn't know anything about his backstory or how he came to Denmark or what had been previous to their friendship. And then we started applying for some developmental support. And from the very beginning, it was thought to be animation, because animation is such a wonderful media to show the past, which is very difficult for when we work with the documentary film to show something that has happened. So it kind of sets us free to go back to the past. So that's how the whole animation started.
I think there's more than just one animation. How did that came into life? No, because there's also a reflection on animation within the film. No, what kind of animation you use?
Yeah, I think also I'll involve Jean-François, but in talking more technical about the animation. But it's a 2D animation, and we knew from the beginning that we couldn't afford like a full 2D animation. So we're working with the 3 layers really. So there's the present tense, which is a 2D animation, very expensive type, very detailed. And then there's a more graphical layer that we're working with, which is it's a very emotional way. We're using it whenever Amin thinks back, and it's a very emotional thing that he's sort of remembering. Then we're using the graphical, which is more abstract and can sort of illustrate these emotions and traumas of thinking back to the past. So, and then we're using live archive as well. We researched and found the exact places he were at. So Kabul in the 80s, which is very different from what we knew like back in 2013, but even more than today. And for us, it was very important to remember that this is documentary and remind people of the places he's been. And then he went to Moscow, and we found the real material of when his sisters arrived on a boat from into Stockholm, Sweden. So we found these places of real, the real time and place. And throughout, we worked really closely together with the Arte, and Charbonnel and Fabrice and Alex in developing the story and getting it through. And we're very lucky with when we started the animation, we met a new company called Sun Creature Studio. They had just finished the school, the animation school in Denmark, and half of them were French, and they became our partners from the very beginning. And sort of that was a very nice way, because I think we sort of grew up together. Me and Jonas never worked with animation before, so we didn't really understand it. They were kind of out of not, I was going to say high school, but animation school. But, you know, it was kind of a new thing for them as well. And I think we both met at this sort of a new beginning where it was like, we really wanted to make this project, and it became like a love child for us, all of us, from the very beginning. And we kind of, both companies grew together with this film. And then we are so lucky that Charlotte had been our intern at Vivement Lundi. So she introduced us to Jean-François and Matthew. And my partner, Sine, had been on Eurodocs together with Jean-François. So she was very excited that, you know, that we could join forces in this film. So it became a very sort of a natural co-production between some countries that really needed each other, but were also very open about how to work together. And I think what was really beautiful for us with Jean-François was that he understood documentary and he understood animation. So he could kind of be a bridge between us, and also explain about, especially when we had meetings with, and I'm sure Anne and Fabrice can remember this, but when we talked to Arte about, you know, the drawings we've done or the storyboards, you know, we weren't showing clips from finished films. We were kind of showing storyboard with black and white sketches, and I think Jean-François helped us a lot to how to tell people to understand these drawings and what become of them.
Before I go to Jean-François, just when did you start your first talking with Jonas, for instance?
That was back in 2013. So he just had this idea about making an animated documentary film about his friends. Mm-hmm.
So this gives us an idea of the long trip the film has been through. Jean-François, I think Europe spreads out of everything Monica just said, because I think this connection between internships that leave after to go to school, maybe in Denmark, etc. So we got it, like personal connections did bring you on the project, but I guess it's also about the topic, no?
Yes, about the topic and about the format. Charlotte knew that I was really interested in animated documentaries, because in 2013, we co-produced with La Compagnie des Phares et Balises and Arte a very important series, Jews and Muslims, so far so close, by Karim Miske. And we discovered how it was, this media was powerful to talk this kind of stories when you're lacking about visual elements, and when you want to put something more than archive in a story, to incarnate characters or very strong and very difficult stories. And Charlotte talked to me about Flea in 2015 at the first time, and in June 2016 at the MIFA in Annecy, the market in Annecy's festival. She was with Guillaume Douce, the head of development of Sun Creature, and she asked me, do you have a few minutes? I want to show you something. And she presented me the first trailer of Flea. I discovered that was incredible, because all the concept of the movie was in this 1 minute and a half, something like that. And I clearly understood that Jonas understood what he was able to do with animation and why it will be nice, or it will be a big tool, a powerful tool for him to use animation. After that, I said to Charlotte, if you need a French partner, I'm in. And after that, I received the script. We translated the script from English to French by ourselves. And it was really funny, because in the company, everybody wanted to know the rest of the story. We shared the story between all the producers. And at the end of this translation, we were sure that Jonas and Amin have they were writing a powerful story. That was clear. And the emotion that we can feel now when we discover the movie, this emotion was in the script, the first version that we received in 2016. That's what we jumped into this project. And after, as said Monica, it was easy for us, because we have this personal relationship and trust with Charlotte. And of course, I discovered at the beginning, I didn't understand that Senior Birgit Sørensen was the head of Final Cut for Real, but I discovered that after the first meeting with Monica, and it was another good surprise. and it was easier to start to get involved in this project after because we were okay with all these people.
But when you got into it, what Monica explained, this different kind of animation were already developed, or you went in one step further, because that's also where you come from. You do a lot of different animation formats.
I remember that we were talking about three things, two kinds of animation, because another very important French guy was involved in the development process. It was Simon Rouby. Simon Rouby was the co-director of Adama. I don't know if you remember this animated 3D CGI feature, which was dealing about the story of a kid, an African kid lost in the First World War between Africa and France. And Simon was in charge of this traumatic 2D more abstract animation. That means that at the beginning, Jonas and Sun Creature and Final Cut for Real had this idea to deal with two different animations. And the third corpus of pictures is, of course, archives. And we were interested to fill out during the storyboard and the animatic process. The movie will live with these three different kind of pictures. 2D more abstract, 2D real 2D more clear, as we say in French, ligne claire, clear line. I don't know if we can translate that in English, and abstract in black and white and archives.
And then when did you, before I switched to Fabrice and Anne, when did you approach Arte? You felt immediately that this has to go to Arte, or is it something that was important? But
yes, we have to remember that in 2016, for all the French producer, it was very complicated to find broadcaster interested in animation for adults. French animation sector is really powerful, but more focused on animation for children and youth audience. And from the beginning with Monica, we decided to send the project very fast after Annecy. And we had a really quick answer from Arte and the first meeting. And I remember it was in September in your office. We had this first meeting with Anne and Alexandre Zalat, who was in charge of society topics in Arte documentary, 1 hour. And at the end of this hour, Alex and Anne told something like, now we would like to be in, what can we do for you? I remember this sentence, and Alex said, maybe we can go now into a development process and to sign the first development deal. And it was incredible. After the first meeting, we had this involvement, and Alex and Anne felt something. And I remember Jonas and Monica in the street after the meeting. They were jumping in the street, and it was nice, a very important moment. And of course, after that, it was easier for us as French partner to fund the project. I would like just to share one thing and to thank the French regions, because we had to negotiate something. In France, Flea is a documentary, and as you know, the budget that you can raise for documentaries in France are not so high as animation or live action features. But we have to fund 60 minutes of animation. It was 2 times the budget of a live action feature documentary. And because Arte entered the co-production, and because they understood that we had we need a lot of money to produce a good animation, these 2 regions, Bretagne and Pic-Panovo, les Hauts-de-France, agreed us to apply as a TV special in animation. And that meant, of course, that we were able to reach more money with their funds. And Arte, with these 2 regions, it was a first funding, which was very powerful to start to find the €1 million that we have to find in France.
Can you give us the budget for all those who listen?
Monica, please.
Yeah, I think it's 3.5 million euros, but maybe I'll just add as well, because for me in Denmark, it was really important with Arte France coming on board as well, because it put pressure on the Danish funders as well to go in with more money. And it was the first time I felt that after our meeting with Arte, this is why I was jumping around, because I understood that now I had a film I could finance, because I knew I could get some money from Denmark and our usual partners, but I really needed that extra, push, and Arte really opened that door for us. So that was a very, very important. I think that was for me, as a producer, the point where I thought, okay, this is realistic to make this film.
Well, Anne, as commission editor, Fabrice as head of commissioning for documentaries at Arte, you of course, you are aware of the importance of someone like you stepping in, saying, let's go. But also what indeed, I mean, it came in as an animation documentary, and maybe you can tell us, but what did, like, how did you go into it and saying, okay, this is what we need and want to do? And then Fabrice, you might come up.
So actually, Monica got in touch with me around Sunnyside in 2016. So it was right after Unifrance, like you said, Jean-François. And she sent me a message saying, I don't know if you know Final Cut for Real, but we have this project. And of course, I knew Final Cut for Real because they had many nominations, and I knew their films, and I had bought some of their films actually. And she sent me, I still have it, a 2-page flyer presenting Flea. And to be honest, I read it and I thought, wow, this reminds me of Vas with Bashir, which is another documentary that we had co-produced, and that was only animation, and that was also nominated for the Oscars. And so I got back to Monica saying, yes, please send me some more information. So I think, Monica, you sent me the first treatment that you had, along with these 2 pages. And I talked to Alex right away and showed him everything you sent me. And he was as enthusiastic as I was, because we thought it was so ambitious and such a unusual and a story that still echoed today. We thought we had to be part of it. So we decided to set up a meeting in Paris, and like you said, we went into development in September. Actually, everybody in Arte was very enthusiastic as well when they saw the project, so it was a big yes. And Arte was on board in September 2016. Then you did some more development and research, and also some animatic sequences to see what the film would look like, because we had only seen a few sketches, but not really what the animation would look like. And we got definitely on board in May 2017, and I think it was before DFI got on board actually. And from then on, it was really like a dream coming true every step of the way. So yeah.
Yes, it's really a beautiful story, because it is true that Anne and Alex told me, well, we have to be in, and from the development to the production 1 year later, to the co-production agreement 1 year later, it was kind of strange, not so strange for us, because in fact, Arte is about that. Arte is about, the problem in Arte is the films that we receive and that we broadcast. The film proposal is the key. It has, as soon as it is a strong and ambitious project with a hint of poetry and political awareness. And I think this film has all that poetry and political awareness. And well, we have to strengthen for this kind of films. So it was not so difficult. And all the hierarchy in Arte was really okay with that. So it went quite smoothly for us. We are not makers, we are sitting in our office, but in our offices, but it went quite well. And also because of something else that you mentioned before, Arte is about Europe. Arte is not a French channel. Arte is not a German channel. Arte is a European channel. His goal is to build a kind of a European platform for high quality project. Should it be documentaries, straight documentaries, fiction, drama, theater, movies, whatever it is. But the idea is Europe. And Europe is made by its talents. And so that was quite normal. we already worked with the financial authority. Before, we knew that we worked with Jean-François on other projects. And so, you know, Europe is not just a word, it's a commitment for us. It's a real commitment. The recent events told us that Europe is something extremely is necessary. And so that is our motto and our essence in a way. So our team is traveling a lot. Our team is going from CBH to Berlin, from Doc Aviv to everywhere in the world. And to try to work, to find the talents, to work with directors, with companies, independent companies all over the world to bring, well, a kind of the best and a multipolar and to say, well, not the usual narratives. There is something else, which is a bit more political, is that we are looking for shifted narratives, narratives that are not the main narratives. And I think we thought that Flea is exactly that, you know, very strong point of view, very talented, an extremely poetic film, and also it shifts the narratives on migrations and so on, and beautiful characters. Well, all that. Well, for us, it's really an happiness. And just if I have the possibility to say something, we are very happy to announce all the team and to say to everyone that the film will be broadcast on prime time in Arte. It will not be 10:30, it will not be 11:30, it will be a primetime show on Arte. And that's Arte. And that's the talent of the teams also. It's not the talent of one man, or it's the talent of the team. It's a collective work. And thank you guys. Thank you, Jean-François and Monica. Thank you so much.
Just to give us a time frame before I go to you, Marcel, because it's not only you start as Arte to be partner, but then also you stay somehow. So you come back. I think there's a lot of exchange. I think it's also interesting maybe to say a word about that actually you somehow give the start. You say you push the start button with your financing, but then you are also there as a partner during the whole post-production process, etc. Maybe just a word for our public, because it's also interesting to hear that it's not just money providing institution.
Now, of course, we were working all the way with Monica and Jean-François. Every time there was a new script, Monica and Jean-François were sending it to us. We were going through the script all together. We had many meetings in Paris. I also visited the animation studio in Copenhagen. And there was a real dialogue between Monica, Jean-François and Jonas and Arte during the whole production process until the very end. So it's really, yes, I think that's also the key to having a very strong film. It's to keep the dialogue and to be very open about what everyone is thinking and how the film is progressing. So that was a very good thing regarding Flea.
Jean-François?
Yes, I would like to say just for people involved in documentary, there is a specificity when you discover a project in animation. It's that the animation, everything must be validated before the shooting. Because after the production of all the pictures, all the sequences in animation, it's very difficult to come back to the studios to say, we need one more sequence, we need more rushes. And you don't have any rushes in animation. It's one shot. It's one shot. That means that before that, we spend a lot of time to share scripts, as said Anne, storyboards, and this incredible tool that is on Animatic, because it's a kind of big rough cut in black and white before the production of the pictures in the 4 studios which were involved in the production of the movie. And after, of course, there is post-production, but most of the validation and the work with all the partners is made during the negotiations, the sharing about Animatic phase.
So Animation, Marcel. Let's go back to 2015, MIFA, because I mean, now we see Flea, we totally understand this adventure and why everyone wants to be involved. But 2015, MIFA, it's not the same story that probably you read. I mean, we heard that the script was really great, but still, you select, you go in, you go for the animation. You also know it's documentary. Tell us your story with this project, and then going up to Annecy, where it won an award, and so it's a whole story actually with a whole circle. So Marcel.
Yeah, as you noticed in the words, through the words of our friends from the production team and from Arte, it is in the DNA of the Annecy Festival and Marquette to support projects at different stages of their production. And sometimes it means very early in the production. So things happen first on the market, on the MIFA side, and the work in progress sessions in the festival side were created in this spirit. And it is in this context that Flea was selected later in 2019. It means that we're through the market at the tipping point of a project. We're present at the tipping point of a project like Flea through the market, and the work in progress session were created to make a kind of link between the market and the final selection of the festival, because the film was completed in 2020 and selected in competition at the festival in 2021. So his presence in 2019 was, I think, an important moment for us in our relation with this project. And this is usually a moment, a kind of sacred moment of work in progress, because the production team must have a kind of generosity to share their work at a stage when it's still very fragile, because the film is not completed yet. So they accept to share with the press, with animation fans, and with other people from the animation community, their project while they are working at it. So for us, when we select the film for a whip session, it was then obvious that Flea had all the qualities we were looking for: a strong subject, a great singularity, an innovative way of approaching documentary material in animation. You know, we have known as an animation festival for about 20 years that the animated documentary constitutes a groundswell. Our friends from Arte talked about Waltz with Bashir, which was an important moment in the recent history of link between documentary and animation. We know that there is animated documentary since the very beginning of animation, but at the beginning, let's say at the beginning of the 21st century, there is, as I said, a groundswell. And let's say that for more than 50 years after the revolution of cinéma vérité, the renewal of the documentary cinema passes through a close relationship with animated images and new images in general. So Flea uses animation for obvious reasons. The producer talked about that, the difficulty, even the impossibility of filming the reality described there, because it refers to things that are in the past. So, and also all the traumatic images and things like that. But the film does so by finding a form that invites both animation techniques and, I would say, the narrative processes of fiction. And this is, for me, something very strong, because Flea is finding his form at a place where there is a crossing between documentary animation and even the narrative of fiction. So it is a deeply original film, a very, very strong film. And for us, it was obvious at that time. I would say in 2019, it was a film that we already knew that we wanted to screen the final product in competition. And the rest is history. The film was in competition in 2021. It received the Crystal. And now we're all together at the Academy Awards with these 3 nominations.
I think many thanks for that. So 2019 at the Work in Progress Market, 2015, Jean-François, that's when we talked with Charlotte in Annecy. That's why I bring dates back together. But what I think is what you just said, I think sums it up very well, because there is something, I mean, we can speak about documentary, we can speak about animation, we can speak whatever you want, but it's a film. And I think this, what you just said, the narrative is so strong that at the overall, it's not about a genre, it's about a film that just takes us on emotionally, that brings us to the problems of the world. And I think it doesn't try to, this poetry that is in the film doesn't try to escape any political, any difficulties, any migration difficulties, any difficulties of also of growing up with your own life in different situations. I mean, we have the migrant, but we have also all the others. And I think this makes it such an outstanding film that we just forget, and we have seen it about borders in a geographical way, about European borders, because it's a European project, it's a European film, but we also forget about genres, and it's just an emotional journey that takes us all. And I hope that this journey takes you far away to the Oscars in Los Angeles. I wish you really, I mean, Unifrance wishes you the best luck that you might not need, because the film speaks for itself, and it has enough strength to go as far as it can go. So I would like to thank you so much for this discussion. You will find it to our public. We hope that you watch wherever you are in this world. That's what Unifrance is about, making our films travel. Well, I hope we can very soon come back to you with different and new stories about groundbreaking filmmaking. I think this is what we have here with Flea. Thank you. Also, we send all our thoughts to Jonas Poher Rasmussen, who is working very hard in the United States right now. So he couldn't join us today, but I'm sure he's with us with his thoughts. So thank you so much. And well, all the luck for the next weeks. Thank you. Goodbye.